Hello, hello, hello. Let me know if you can hear me okay. It is Hypno News World Live, Hypno World News, whatever it's called. It is this. Let me just check. We've got audio and everything is good. I'm flying solo at the moment because Jim is actually stuck in traffic where his cat is on the way back from the vets. So if you can see and hear me, then do let me know in the comment section. But please share some love for Jim's cat, who is currently having his nuggets removed, and so yeah, it's a delicate operation. So let me just see if I can. Are we live? Are we live? And can we hear me? We're live somewhere. So yeah, let me know if the audio is good. We've got an absolutely fantastic guest for you tonight. It is going to be a fun one, as it always is. He's going to be joining us at the and this is the Pacific Northwest Conference. Then that's another one. He's going to be joining us at the Performing Hypnosis Summit. There we go. Oh, fantastic! Sean can hear us in Canada. Sean, how is the weather out there? How are you? How is everything going? It's yeah. I should have Sean on here instead of Jim. So yeah. So let's go through a couple of the housekeeping things. Obviously, we are days away from the Performing Hypnosis Summit. We will be talking about that. In April, coming up is the Heartlands Hypnosis Conference. This is a really nice conference. William, who runs it, is a great guy. Is a minister as well, which is really cool. But he puts on a good show. Yeah, so that's always great fun. Speaker submissions are closed for that now, but that is great. Dennis Ridgway's in the house. Sean says weather is improving. Send me a link and I'll jump in. Do you know what, Sean? We'll get you to jump in as well. 1 second. Listen, I like this multitasking. I'm multitasking as well, boys and girls, without my contact lenses. So if this doesn't go awry, then nothing will. Go. Sean. Sean, I've just put that in the PHS planning one, so feel free to jump in. So yes, a great guest coming up about that as well. There is a couple of conferences coming up after the PHS, one being the Blackpool Magic Convention is the week after that here in the UK, which is the biggest magic convention in the world. And our guest today, Alex, will be there as well. And I'm sure he might mention as well, he's doing a fantastic tribute to a good friend of his as well. We've got the Pacific Northwest Conference coming up later on. And coming up very soon, we have the, let me just get this. I love the name of this one, Hypnoticon. This is Jason Lynette's and Richard Nongard's conference, which is going to be really cool. So let's bring Sean on. Sean, how are you?
Hey, good evening. Can you hear me?
I can hear you absolutely perfectly. Thank you for being the stand-in Jim tonight.
Well, people say that I'm a much shorter, more compact version of him. So
yes, yeah, Jim 2.0, more refined. There we go. And then there's also the Solid Gold Conference coming up as well. That's in Las Vegas as well. So yeah, so there's some great conferences coming up. But speaking of great conferences, and I'm going to say next I'm a little bit biased, but that's the Pacific Northwest Conference. Why do I keep calling it that? It's what happens when I'm tired. It's the Performing Hypnosis Summit. Which
what time is it there, Grant?
Yeah, it's 1 a.m. And our guest today is probably going through the same as me, but he's probably more awake than me. So without further ado, let's bring him on. If you have any questions for Alex, please do drop them in the comment section. This guy's an absolute font of knowledge, and he's going to be delivering some great stuff at the Performing Hypnosis Summit. So yeah, make him feel very, very welcome, ladies and gentlemen. There he is, the man himself.
Hello there. I just mentioned that somebody I see in the comments has gone, I can't hear anything. Am I the only one?
Oh, that's
yes. They may not.
I know that when I get it on my phone, because obviously I'm speaking to you on the laptop now, but if I go on my phone, I will just very quickly.
We've got audio here.
Let me say something.
Yeah.
I would rejoin if
yeah, we're all good there. Joseph Crown.
You might need to click your speaker if your settings are wrong or something. It might need that.
Turn your hearing aid up.
Anyway, we'll let them sort their sound out. Yes. Good evening, gentlemen, or good morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Obviously.
Well, if we'd have known it was going to be me and you, Alex, we could have done it at our time. We probably you either could have come here or I could have come to your house. We're only 20 minutes, half an hour away from each other.
However, then the people in America may not necessarily have joined us live. You know, it's
exactly.
Swings and roundabouts, isn't it? You know.
Absolutely. There we go.
We do tend to like our sleep.
So Joseph says captions working, but audio not. Definitely.
Chuck's confirmed that he can hear us.
Yeah. Nothing beats getting engagement on a live stream than someone's audio not being right. Everybody jumps in. So, Alex, tell us what to expect.
Well, it's going to upset a lot of people. Saturday of the Performing Hypnosis Conference. Now, unfortunately, this year, because I've got my ongoing legal cases, I can't make it out to Vegas in person, but I will be there next year. For those people thinking, what's he mean, legal cases? Well, the very short, in a nutshell, is that we are into the 26th year, yes, 2 and 6, 26 year of me having a long-term legal battle, ultimately with one of the world's biggest media moguls, Rupert Murdoch. So it doesn't really matter where you are in the world, you've probably heard of Rupert Murdoch. And I now have a trial date of January next year to be part of a kind of class action where if it goes to court, hopefully they'll settle before then out of court. But if it does go to court, I'll be in court alongside the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, British pop star Talisa Kontos-Stavlos, and a whole bunch of other people who are far more famous than I currently am, because my star really shone in the world media in the 90s. Before all this happened, where I ultimately, in a nutshell, attempted to expose the dishonest and unethical techniques of Rupert Murdoch's fake sheikh Mazza Mahmood. Unbeknownst to me at that time, it turns out that it wasn't just dishonest and unethical techniques they were using blatantly illegal techniques, including drugging people without their knowledge or consent, hacking their phones, using private investigators, using social engineering, planting contraband on them, and blatantly perjuring themselves in court to create malicious prosecutions against people, which is what happened to me, resulting in a prison sentence, which is part of an ongoing appeal, which it's going to take sort of probably till January next year to get settled either in court or out of court, whichever the case may be. And then I will be there with you next year. But for this year's Performing Hypnosis Conference, it's going to have to be like last year, with you via Zoom on the Saturday at, off the top of my head, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Las Vegas time, until 3:50 p.m., which for people in England is 10 o'clock in the evening until 11:50 p.m. in the evening. And basically, what I will say is this. If you want to be guaranteed, and this is no offense or dig at Grant or Jim or the wonderful thing of computers or software, but if you want to be 1,000,000% guaranteed to learn from what I'm going to be sharing, then your only way is going to be on Zoom at 10 o'clock United Kingdom time till 11:50 p.m. on the Saturday, which is 2 p.m. till 3:50 Las Vegas time. Because who knows, a glitch might occur. Hopefully it won't. Last year there was a glitch with recording. So the only guaranteed way is to be there for that talk now. And I guarantee you as egotistical and arrogant as this is going to sound, it will be the most useful talk of the entire event, guaranteed, if you actually show up. It will upset you. It will massively upset a lot of you, because we will be, with the help of video footage of TV shows that you can't find online because the stuff that predates the internet, as it were. Because I say my star shone really from 1990 till just before 2000 is when I was doing hundreds of TV shows around the world, getting front page and massive double page spreads with A-list celebrities. I was at the top of the industry from a general public knowing my point of view. And I will be using some of that footage to illustrate the lessons that I will be sharing that will include the following. Now, obviously, I won't go into depth, but I promise you these are the things that can upset people. The things about safety that the so-called hypnosis trainers out there aren't teaching because they haven't got a fucking clue. The things about safety that even the safety courses aren't teaching. Justin James's Safe on Stage, his only use really was to get the insurance at the time. In terms of health and safety training, it's not fit for purpose. It doesn't even scrape 1% of what is taught in a thing called the transparency template, which we'll go into at the Performing Hypnosis Summit. I'm going to be explaining why anybody who ever chooses to hypnotize anyone under the age of 16. Now, in England, it's actually under the age of 18. But I know that law doesn't apply in other places in the world. But I'm not on about the law here. I'm on about morals and ethics and actually knowing what you're on about. If you choose to hypnotize anyone under the age of 16, you deserve everything that's coming to you and will happen sooner or later, guaranteed, within the next several years, the way the legal landscape's going. The fact is, anyone who does, and that will upset all the high school hypnotists, I know, but hey, go and get some talent or actually make an effort to go and do shows not for kids. The fact is, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. If either that or you are willingly, of your own free will, choosing to hypnotize kids under the age of 16, in which case that makes you incompetent and borderline, arguably in some territories in the world, criminally negligent. The fact of the matter is, there is more than enough evidence out there that as human beings, the critical faculty analytical area, as actual psychologists will call it, which is what courts would rely on the evidence of more, I'm having a mental block now. This is brain fog. Critical faculty analytical area. It'll come back to me in a minute. The psychologist actual term for it is not fully formed until, generally they say, puberty going on for 16. For some people it's later, for some it's earlier. But you have
I don't even think my critical faculty is fully formed yet. So it's weird. I mean,
executive function. That is the phrase that psychologists use, and they would use in legal parlance. Executive function. Now, here's the thing. When the executive function, which is already legal cases galore around the world, some involving hypnosis, which most people don't know about, the majority just involving psychiatric cases or psychiatric cases or counselling cases, it's been established that the executive function is not fully formed until, in general, around 16 to 18. Some people earlier, some later, but you've got to go off what is accepted generally in law in most places, right? Now, on that basis and the weight of evidence available, the fact of the matter is anyone with a half-decent solicitor would win their case against a stage hypnotist, hands down, especially if they were hypnotizing somebody under the age of 16. If that person then claimed that it had caused them any form of psychological or emotional damage or harm, which you, as the stage hypnotist, the majority of people watching this or watch the talk at the Performing Hypnosis Summit, wouldn't have a fucking clue, because the person who taught you, unless you were taught by me, of course, probably didn't have a fucking clue what they were talking about either. It's a fact. Again, I know it sounds egotistical or arrogant, but the fact is there's a reason why I have actually taught more of the people who are actually headlining Royal Caribbean cruise line ships, 5-star cruise ships, filling theatres around the world and doing TV shows than any other living stage hypnosis trainer on the planet today. Notice the key word there is living. Okay, because I don't know exactly how many people Gil Boyne and Norman McGill taught, but I suspect it's just slightly more than me at the moment because they were considerably older. It's dangerous. More stage hypnotists doing shows in America that are doing high school shows, put them out of business, I say, and that will upset them. Now go into that.
It is an interesting point. I mean, but it's you know, as a Brit and working the British audiences, you know,
it's just illegal here, simple
exactly,
as.
Yeah, so we've done it our way for years, sort of thing. And I always find it really strange in the US
it's illegal.
How the US do things very differently, if you know what I mean. And like the fact that they do have them in high schools for me was very unusual, if you know what I mean.
But here's the thing: just because there isn't a 1952 Hypnotism Act in America, and incidentally, we've only got a 1952 Hypnotism Act in England, thanks to a guy called Peter Casson, who's no longer with us, because he managed to save in 1951 stage hypnosis from being banned in England. And if it had been banned here completely, you can guarantee that in time it would have got banned in America and other places in the world, because America quite often follow what happens in England with laws. It happens regularly. And the thing is, the irony of it is, it was an American stage hypnotist, Ralph Slater, who came to England, was negligent and incompetent and didn't wake people up fully after the show. And a woman ended up suicidal with depression. And it almost very nearly got completely banned. That's the law was to save it. And there's so many people go, oh, it's a ball ache, it's a ball ache. You know what? I don't believe the 1952 Hypnotism Act is actually strong enough in terms of the rules that you have to abide by. I believe that rules stronger than it should be enforced, and that if enough fuss was made, and it will happen at some point, because it's only a matter of time before these witch hunts, I'm going to call it witch hunts, but in the 50s it was a real valid thing, happen every so often, because you know, in the late 1993, for example, a lady died 6 hours after participating in a stage hypnosis show, and her mother, Sharon, the lady was called Sharon Taban, and her mother, Margaret Harper, set up the campaign against stage hypnotists.
Which I always thought was quite funny that it spells cash.
Many people made that observation on television chat shows at the time, but that was when it lobbied Parliament to get stage hypnosis banned, and Parliament in England actually did do a full investigation. Now they concluded that Sharon Taban did not die through anything connected to hypnosis. Fair enough. However, they did do a whole review of the hypnotism laws, and they did bring in some additional rules, safety rules, that had to be attached to licenses being granted. So the 1952 Hypnotism Act was arguably expanded, but I still don't think it's expanded enough. My point is this, law. You get too many people in America, Europe, other places in the world who go, aha, we don't have a 1952 Hypnotism Act, it's okay, we can do what we want. Unless you're in like Israel, where it's completely banned, or, you know, so some other places where it's banned, or in fact, you know, Sweden. Technically, you know, Sweden, you have to get a permission from the government there before you can do hypnosis shows, or even if it's on television, like I, you know, did filming out there a couple of years back. The thing is, you do have laws to abide by. People don't seem to realise, and that is, and here's a prediction I'll make: the majority of stage hypnotists who see this have probably never read the small print of their insurance policy word for word. I bet 99%, if not 100% of them, have not read the small print of their insurance policy. And let me tell you, the majority of stage hypnotists, within certainly the American ones that are hypnotizing kids, even though it's not against the law to hypnotize the kids because there's no age restriction thing, will arguably be already invalidating your insurance, so that if ever you got a claim against you that was true or fabricated, it matters little. You need the insurance to defend yourself, because otherwise it'd bankrupt most people, right? That in the small print on pretty much every policy I've ever seen, and I am the sad bastard who reads them, it will state that you must have abided by all relevant laws where you are performing or carrying out your professional activity that insurance policy relates to. That in itself means, and often will be further clarified with further text, but sometimes it's just left as a sort of sentence like that. But it can be elaborated on to also say that therefore this means that you must be abiding by all duty of care and health and safety relevant regulations or laws as may exist or reasonably be expected of a professional carrying out that type of activity. And I would argue, as could any good lawyer, I'm sure, that if you were supposed to be trained properly in what you're doing, because if you're not trained properly in what you're doing and you don't have a full understanding of what you're doing and how it works, then arguably you can be shown to be incompetent. Thus, you've invalidated your insurance policy there straight away. Okay? That if you do know what you're doing, you should know that hypnotizing people under the age of 16 is potentially highly emotionally and psychologically damaging for them in the long term. But it's not something that you could possibly observe the effect of after the show, even if you hung around for an hour or two, because what the harm is with the executive function not being fully formed is that the individual who's, yes, volunteered to take part, has willingly taken part, looks as though they're having a great time, and is giving off all the signals that they're happy to continue taking part. So as far as you're concerned, you're observing, everything's fine. For all you know, in here, unbeknownst to you, even unbeknownst to them, because their executive function isn't fully formed, something can just niggle, or it could get to a point where before it was they're the star of the show and they realise you framed it as you're laughing with them, not at them, which is complete bullshit anyway, as we know. But we frame it that way so that the people on stage feel better. But bollocks, if you're not laughing at them, what's the fucking point of the show? Stage hypnosis is the most crappiest form of entertainment on the planet, as far as I'm concerned. And yes, I'm saying that as someone who's living an above average one for well over 34, 35 years from stage.
Well, I'll agree and disagree with you. That's one of the things about, like, why the kind of something was put about. Stage hypnosis, I think, can be some of the best forms of entertainment, but there's a lot of people out there that aren't
these days. No, you know what? These days,
what I mean.
Stage hypnosis won't exist 10 years from now.
Yeah.
I predicted about 5 years ago, 5-6 years ago on one of our shows, that within 20 years, stage hypnosis will not be a viable business. We're 5-6 years on, and I'm not saying 14 years anymore. I'm saying 10 years probably. Because the fact of the matter is, it's bollocks. Yes, you are. You are messing with people's heads.
Yeah,
and especially if you're hypnotizing kids, you shouldn't be. You're dangerous.
Well, I think the majority of stage hypnosis is it is a light form of entertainment. I do think vents now are very much back in favour and very popular, but I think stage hypnosis, performance hypnosis are very much, especially in the UK, we're at the fringe of entertainment. You know, we are. I
think worldwide, stage hypnosis will die out within about a decade, purely because of the way social media is going, and you're getting more and more influencers and pranksters who are not using. I'm not on about the people who are passing themselves off as street hypnotists or whatever, and 99% of them are a bunch of fucking egotistical pricks who've got all the hypnotic talent of a monkey and attention to health and safety. The fucking idiots put the videos on the internet that give all the evidence that they're not abiding by health and safety or duty of care. Idiots. Don't stand near the sidewalk. Where if the person
Yeah.
does want to be an attention-seeking fuckwit and become a sleeper, attention-seeking fuckwit, I call them, they're going to fall in the road. You don't know if at that moment, complete bullshit, but there's more and more without hypnosis being involved, extreme entertainment on television, the internet and stuff, that it's no longer impressive seeing people. It really isn't. It's not impressive seeing people 1 minute they're this and the next minute they're Elvis. People might sit there and have a bit of a giggle, but I tell you what, as the years go on, 10 years from now, seriously, if you're not already trained as a clinical hypnotherapist, train up as that.
Yeah.
Hypnosiscourse.com. Go there.
I will say as well.
I'll find something else to do.
One thing. Let me just say this as well before we let you go. You know, I've known Alex a very long time as well. Alex is guaranteed to deliver lots of value as well. It's going to be controversial, his talk, but do go and listen to it, because he's one of the most knowledgeable people when it comes to stage hypnosis.
I'll stop you getting your arse sued. I'll stop you invalidating your insurance. I'll make sure you don't harm anyone physically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, or on any other level. And what I will also show you during that hour and 15 minutes, thanks to the footage that's available, is how to deal with the media. There is nobody on this planet who has had more perceptively controversial or negative media coverage than me. You will learn the truth about that, because there is a reason why I was able to buy my own property outright before the age of 30. To put that in perspective, I'm 48 now, 49 this year. I walked in literally with the cliched briefcase of cash and went, there you go, there's the money. They had to close the travel agents and estate agent even, and count it up. Hypnosis has made me shitloads of money. So it may sound ridiculous and hypocritical for me to be saying, shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that, especially when, because part of the thing, you know, International Stage Hypnosis Association, or whatever the frick they're called, they recently jumped on we recommend nobody does full body catalepsy anymore, which isn't fucking hypnosis anyway.
No, but I will say, and it's obviously, you know, I have connections there, but there's lots of issues with stage hypnosis, and I don't think you can tackle them all at once. The human bridge it's not about whether it's hypnosis or not. It's about whether it's going to cause people back injuries. I've seen
safety issue
done really well. You know, I know Patrick Picard does it exceptionally well. There's some people that do it really well. There's a lot of people that don't do it well, and you'll know that it's so easy for that to go wrong. It's not hypnosis, but you know.
I should be saying, don't do it. And I'm saying that as the person who basically is unique selling proposition. One of them was that I was the only person doing full body catalepsy in England for years, because in the 90s, because I blatantly never applied for a license to perform under the 1952 Hypnotism Act. Could I use loopholes in the law? However, this is the bit that people forget when they slag me off about that on the internet, which is, this will go into more depth in the performing hypnosis talk. But just because I didn't apply for a license, which meant therefore, because the loophole I was using meant I could have done whatever I wanted, I still abided by all the health and safety and duty of care things. So even though I was doing full body catalepsy, it was done in a manner where full risk assessments had been done. People have been approached before the show and checked that they don't have bloody back issues that they know about. Chairs have been checked, blah, blah, blah. And quite often, that was the one thing I effectively stooged, in so much as using somebody who was on the payroll. Because then at that point, you are performing nothing more than what it is, a physiological body magic trick, which means that it's not part of your hypnosis show. You could prove if it came to a court case, and you could prove that you'd use somebody from your own employ, okay, and show them how it works. And therefore, you would be covered by a standard mentalist, mind readers, entertainment policy, which doesn't say in it that catalepsy is not covered by the policy, because it doesn't cover hypnosis anyway. And the fact is, catalepsy isn't hypnosis. But if you look at your hypnosis policies, most of them will have a clause anyway that says it's not allowed, or it is blocked anyway because of the phrase that says you've got to abide by the relevant laws, blah, 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 which would mean health and safety and duty of care for most people would rule it out if you're not in England. Or in England, obviously, it's ruled out because of the 1952 Hypnotism Act. So yeah, there'll be all the controversial stuff, but also I'm going to show you how to deal with the media so that when you're on television shows and they suddenly go to your home, we've got somebody here with a fear of dogs. We've got 15 minutes before we come back in the next section of the show. Can you cure the phobia? And then it's landed on you that, hey, oh, they've got a dog there as well, ready. And this is live TV. What the fuck do you do? Because they've sprung it on you. How do you deal with things like that? So you don't end up looking a complete moron and tit with somebody having a panic attack when a dog's brought out on them. Video footage will be used and you'll be shown the secrets of how, the things you need to know to actually deal with the media. Because a lot of what people teach, it's bollocks in the real world. When it might work for shows, but it doesn't work when you get yourself on TV shows, live TV especially. Filming's different. Things go wrong. You can refilm again. But live TV, all different ball game. You get one chance.
Yeah, and I think it's so much. It can be so much more entertaining to make the hypnotist look bad than what it was to make the hypnosis.
Oh, they will always take it for red.
Yeah.
Whatever they say to you, however nice they are, never ever trust a journalist if they're a member of your own family. Always assume that anything and everything you say and do, on stage and off stage, in that venue or in the vicinity, is being recorded. Don't say or do anything you're not prepared to suddenly have posted all over the internet and in the national newspapers. That may sound paranoid, but I talk as somebody who, aside from myself, basically in England, having had more media publicity worldwide than any other British hypnotist other than Paul McKenna because Darren Brown doesn't label himself as a hypnotist. He says as a mind reader. If he called himself a hypnotist, then I'd have to be third down the list. I've been on the receiving end, and people think that I set out and chose to be Mr. Controversial. I didn't. I started doing comedy stage hypnosis shows in 1990, aged 15. Okay. In January 1993, age 17, although they said I was 18, as people will see on the footage that I'll show them at the Performing Hypnosis Summit, I appeared on the cult Channel 4 television show The Word, a hit TV show alongside Peter Powers, the hypnotist. And we had a battle of the hypnotist, and this kick-started my media career at the time. And then the media started coming after me. And I wasn't equipped for this. No one warned me for what the media was like. And the next thing you know, in January 1994, the Sun newspaper, and incidentally, this is part of what I'm suing the Sun newspaper for at the minute. Anyone who wants to look into that more, just go to my informational blog at circusofthemind.net. The details are on there and the links to the High Court in England. They ran an article headed Dirty Trancing. We expose evil hypnotist who lures spellbound girls into bed. And this story said that I apparently hypnotized women into believing I was their favorite film star and then shagging them. Okay? They also quoted someone that I'd apparently done this to. No. That's not what happened, you see. What happened, and that's part of what they're finally getting sued over many years later, is that the reporter came to see one of my shows, and in the show I did the usual sleep. When you wake up in a few moments' time, the more the hypnotist ignores you, the more you fall madly, passionately, and deeply in love with him. The more he ignores you, the more you fall madly, passionately, deeply in love with him. Do the usual bit, ignoring them, they get more amorous. Then later on, sleep. Find out who their favourite film star is. This time when you wake up, the hypnotist is no longer there. He will look in every manner, way, shape and form from head to toe like your favourite film star. George Clooney, Mel Gibson, whoever. Not yet, if you understand. Fantastic. 1, 2, 3, you're wide awake. And ultimately, I'd let them get to the point that they were pestering me, and then I'd turn, I'd stage whisper off mic. It's okay, you can have a kiss. and they come forward to take a kiss. At which point I'd have turned slightly, so they're actually not. They don't. But from that angle, photograph taken, it looks like I'm kissing them, or rather, they're kissing me. They're not, because I've moved, not in the gag doing the cheek thing to the lips, but moved enough so that my lips are not on their lips. So I can actually talk to them, but the audience can't tell. And I say, move your head down my body slowly. And they start moving their head down my body. And just before they get to the groin area, I go, sleep. And the visual perception to the audience was that if I'd not stopped them, she was about to perform a sexual act. Okay? I don't think I need to be too graphic, which obviously was never going to happen. But that's the way it was looked visually. But, oh, it's fine, it's okay, because he stopped her. So everything's legal and above board and whatnot. Then they contacted me after the show and said, we're doing a big feature on hypnotists. We want to feature you one of the days. Can we have an interview? We'd like something controversial. The more controversial, the more space we'll give you in the biggest red national daily newspaper in England at the time. This is with a license to print money. So I, unwittingly, 17 years of age, paid an actress to come along with me to the interview that took place in a wine bar in Rochdale, to relate her story of how she'd had the best sex, consensual sex of her life, and all her sexual fantasies had come true consensually by her requesting in a consensual relationship with me for me to use the power of the mind, hypnosis, to help her experience this, to believe that she was Madonna, to believe that I was her favorite film star, blah, 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 blah. And they record all this, but I'm sat there with her. Okay? That's a key point here. Obviously, I don't tell the journalist that I paid an actress, as far as he's concerned. This is girlfriend, whatever. When the story appears, Dirty Trancing, we expose the evil hypnotist who lures spellbound girls into bed. Our reporter witnessed him make women believe he was Mel Gibson and Richard Gere. Yeah. And he then allowed, on stage, he stopped them seconds before they performed lewd sexual acts. Perceptively, that's an honest description, yes, of what it would look like. But then they follow it up with, who knows how far he took things after the show backstage. Fucking didn't do anything after. I left,
It's one of the things. I don't know if American media had that kind of British tabloid thing, but it was that headline could. There was lots of headlines, especially in the press round about that time, that would imply things, and the press were very clever in the way of they stayed, or sometimes they stayed within the law of what they were saying, but the impression it gave people led them down a completely different path. So our tabloid media for quite a long time was in the gutter.
And it still is. It is worldwide. It's worse than ever now worldwide.
Really kind of bringing that out and showcasing them for what they were.
Yeah, sadly, I wish it got better, but it's worse now. Not just here, it's worse in America as well. It's worse worldwide, thanks to people like Rupert Murdoch.
One of the reasons, especially having that experience with the press and this, it's one of the reasons why, again, a good reason for people to come to this, to listen to your talk on this, the performing.
Yeah, because it's not all negative. There were valuable lessons learned through going through brimstone and fire. For example, carry with you, most people have now. Back in the day, I ended up carrying with me all the time one of these mini dictaphones, pocket tape recorders, with the little tapes in. And the moment I came off stage, I'd set it recording so that anyone who spoke to me, even if they were pretending to be a member of the public, or they were a member of the public, but I'm saying pretending because a journalist very rarely immediately tells you they're a journalist.
Yeah.
I'd have a recording of everything as well so that I could prove what had actually been said and prove that what they'd said was distorted and untrue. Unfortunately, now the way the law's gone in England, and I know in America, it's probably been easier in America for more years than it has been here. Because until recent years in England, unless you had a shit ton of money and I mean a shit ton of money, to take on these people legally, you had no way of really coming back at people like Rupert Murdoch or other media moguls or newspapers that printed untrue things about you or libelous and defamatory things, because they've just got more money and more lawyers, and you know, it costs too much to take cases. But now you can actually, in the right circumstances, where you've got proof, which recording would be, and these days we're all carrying around voice recorders in our pocket, just be sure to switch the bloody thing on straight after the show till you're safe in your car. It sounds paranoid, but I promise you, the people at the top of the industry, and no disrespect to anyone, but what I'm referring to by the top of the industry is the people who are going to be the real targets, the people who've got the TV shows, the people who are filling the big theatres consistently. I'm talking your Pete Powers in the days, your Paul McKenna's, those kind of people are getting targeted. But don't think just because you're not at that level that they won't come for you. Oh, they will, because a journalist, when the time happens that they suddenly decide it's flavour of the month time that we're going to attack hypnotists again, and as I'll cover in my talk, it happens every between 20 to 40 years, depending which time in history. It happens again, and it's been happening since the 1800s, you know, with Mesmer getting attacked. There's been cycles. In the 50s, it was trying to ban it in the 1952 Hypnotism Act. In the 90s, it was the campaign against stage hypnotists. It's probably about close to 10 years off the top of my head now, since there was quite an upsurge in compensation claims against stage hypnotists, both in England and America, that were actually publicised. But because you're not reading about so many at the minute, don't think they're not happening. I get called as an expert legal witness on health and safety. Definitely in England and Europe. I've not been called for any in America, although I've had American stage hypnotists contact me and ask advice. Unfortunately, most insurance companies, and this is really sad, and I wish it wasn't the case, but it is cheaper for an insurance company, generally speaking, to just pay off the person who's claiming that they've been emotionally or physically damaged than it is to pay to take the hypnotist into court to defend their reputation.
Yep.
So you end up with a judgment against you, which might not at this time get publicised by the media, but when the next Groundhog Day happens, whether that's 5 years, 10 years down the time, the journalists will go digging, and they'll find all those people that have settled claims last year and the year before, and they'll all come out, and overnight, no one will want to fucking book them.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, you were around. That's what happened in the UK. All the bookings pretty much dried up.
Yeah,
it pretty much stopped. So, guys, do make Alex feel very welcome. Drop some comments in the.
I promise you, it won't all be doom and gloom. Exactly. There's positive sides to it as well.
Yeah. Most importantly, do check out whether you're in Vegas or you're going to be joining virtually. Make sure you're in the room. Like I said, it's like Alex says, it's the only way you can guarantee you're going to see it. But he is going to drop some amazing value. He is controversial, but he speaks from a good place. Alex, thank you for joining us for Hypno News.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
viewers, listeners, blatant plugs, 2 of them. Well, 3. Performing Hypnosis Summit, Saturday. It's 2 o'clock till 3:50 American time. In Vegas, it's 10 p.m. till 11:50 United Kingdom time. Secondly, in terms of hypnotherapy and self-help, get yourself a copy of Hypnosis. It's only 17 bucks. It's the best self-help book on the planet, guaranteed. Helping you get over the shit in your life. And number 3, if any of this that I've said on this interview has upset you or pushed any buttons, then you really do need to go to ultimatehypnosiscourse.com and take the training there. That's not just training from me, it's training from like 20 other people, including Delavar, who's the grandfather of hypnosis. Because here's the thing. If it niggled you or upset you, it's because you either don't know what the fuck you're on about, or it's because deep down, you know what I said right.
And on that bombshell, guys, do make him feel very welcome. Alex Smith, Jonathan Royle is going to be at the Performing Hypnosis Summit. Do check that out. Do check out his talk there as well, and make sure you get as much value. Alex, thank you for joining us, buddy.
Thank you, Grant, for and to Jim, who's not here, and Sean, who is here, for your bravery. Because well, yeah, I mean, anyone who was at the Performing Hypnosis Summit last year and saw my talks will know that I will most definitely, I do name names, but only when there is cold, hard, 100% evidence and fact to back up when I'm naming names and putting them in the Hall of Shame. Yeah.
Cool beans. Alex, thank you very much. Cheers, buddy.
See you next Saturday.
You get yourself to bed.
Indeed. See you then.
See you then. Awesome. There you go, Sean.
Wow.
There you go. Alex is definitely a controversial character, and the comment section was kind of blowing up there as well. So do check out that talk. I do know the kind of the age thing for American hypnotists is going to be a controversial point. And so that I could imagine that Zoom room is going to be on fire. I think I'm going to put you in charge of moderating that one, Sean.
I thought it already was, but that's okay.
No, exactly. Do you know what? But do you know what? If it stimulates discussion and debate and conversation, then that's always a good thing. So
well, and I think that's, you know, when we talk about going to a conference, that's what you're going to a conference for, is to either learn something or be challenged by something enough to say, I better check into this and make sure that I know, you know, what I'm doing,
exactly.
Or that this is going to work for me, or it's not going to work for me, whatever the case may be. You know, I won't name names, but you know, he's not the only shit disturber that we have on the docket.
Exactly, and I think that's why I really loved it last year as well. It's not just a case of let's just bring friends along and people that all agree with each other, that there's just an echo chamber. It actually helps the discussion when you have people that disagree with each other, because if you've got two people with different opinions, and then they can thrash that out in a grown-up professional academic way, then we all learn and grow from that. So yeah,
and that's 100%, because if everybody's the same going to the conference and we all agree and everything is sunshine and roses, there's no point in going, other than it's going to be 20 degrees warmer there than it is here.
Exactly. Well, I mean that's a good point. That is a good point in and of itself.
Since we can all speak metric here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can do it properly. Do you know what? It's nice to see all the other bits and bobs as well that's going on. You know, the soiree at Catherine Hickland's, going to see the kind of Don show, Michael DeShalot's show, Kevin Lepine's show. You know, people doing stuff together, that's really going to cement that. So for those of you that are there in Vegas, that's going to be extra special as well.
Yep. So
yeah, looking forward to it. There we go. Josie says, appreciate you guys' perspective there. Yeah, it's Alex is. I've known Alex a very long time. A very knowledgeable guy. Very controversial as well. And it's you don't necessarily have to always agree with everything he says, but what he says, he does say from a good place. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you know, it's something that if you're never challenged, you're never going to grow.
No. And I will say this, you know, me and Jim had a bit of a wager going, and Jim said he would buy me a coffee or a drink for every time Alex plugged his website. And I'll be honest, he didn't really plug it that much. I think I only caught it like maybe 2 times was there were plug there. So I'm a bit disappointed. I'm only going to get 2 drinks from Jim. So that is cool. Oh, Alex says strange no sound on his laptop. Oh, I wonder what that is then.
Oh, there it is. No, it just came back, it says.
Oh, there we go. Cool. It might be that Facebook has bleeped us out from all the swearing.
Well, it's entirely possible. I mean,
yeah, cool. Guys, thank you for joining us. It's been an interesting one. Jim was with his cat whilst his cat was having its nuggets chopped off, and yeah, I feel like I've had mine chopped off. No, it's going to be really good. So yeah, cool beans. Sean, tell us about Canada. What's stage hypnosis like in Canada?
Stage hypnosis is alive and well. If you talk to folks that are doing shows around not just the province of Saskatchewan, but Richard Cole doing a lot of work in Ontario. There are, and Wayne Lee, he's all over Canada. And I'll give a shout out to Wayne simply for the fact that 10 or 15 years ago, before I even started down the road, I was able to pick up the phone and call him, and he said, if you're going to do this, these are the things you need to consider doing. I'll say he was not wrong. He even back then he knew his stuff, and he's like me. He's a former teacher, so I will be a former teacher in a few years.
Yes, I also think it helps when, like Paul Ramsey, great guy. I think people that are in education, when they then teach, it just makes so much more sense.
Well, we try to be sensible. We're used to breaking things down, hopefully to the point where a grade 6 student can actually, grasp the concept and run with it.
Yeah.
And you can't do that with everything. I still don't quite understand calculus or some of those things, but I've had teachers in my life. Actually, I'm still in touch with a lot of them, just through the Teachers Federation and whatnot. But my chemistry teacher in high school was never trained in chemistry. He had to literally train himself in doing everything, mixing the chemicals, what goes with what, how to do the period, everything. He had to redo it. And so because he did it, he had to redo it for himself. He was able to explain it so much clearer.
That makes sense. That does make sense.
Yeah. Whereas somebody who's got natural ability, sometimes they don't work as hard at that, then they just assume everybody thinks the way that they do.
Yeah. And I think the hypnosis world is very similar to that. There's some people that are great hypnotists but are not great teachers because it just naturally comes to them. And there's other people that are great teachers but aren't necessarily great hypnotists. Cool. Alex brought up points that highlight cases and the need for continuing education. Have you all read or can share studies and books that look at all the aspects of hypnosis? Absolutely right there, Joseph. It's as an industry, we've always got to make sure we are doing better and improving. Spot on. Yeah. Sean, I think that's us for this week. It's been a good one. Thank you for joining me on that.
Yeah, I deflected some of it for you.
So. Yeah, you're an absolute gent. Guys, thank you very much for joining us this week on Hypno News. I'm Grant Saunders. This is Sean Kostiak, and Jim is somewhere with his cat, probably watching this with a smile on his face. We will be live probably from the Performing Hypnosis Summit next week.
Thursday night.
Interesting. Yeah, so cool. If not, we'll see you in Vegas or we'll see you online. Take care, and I'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Safe travels, everybody. That's going.
Cheers. Bye-bye.